Tight grip on the tech nine. Now it's time to creep. Hollow tips in the clip. Putting suckers in a deep sleep. Win, lose, or draw your gat. Die if you ain't quick enough. Or end up at 201. Just because you think you tough. Niggas in the med. Now they're dead from the Uzi round. Trick was found bloody on the ground. Down in Orange Mound. Hole in his dome from the chrome that my hand held. Cuts on the hoe where I whooped him with the fan belt. Bitches think I'm soft cause I treat them with respect. But I won't hesitate to smoke a bitch with my tech. 9mm beater if I feel that I should hit that hoe. Smack, step back, then watch that hoe hit the flow. Niggas on the gate might do better at a bank. Cause I'm packing what you lacking and I'm shooting like a tank. It's the PIMP, y'all, the funky MC, y'all. The nigga that's dropping the bitches with my 9mm. One little, two little, three little tricks. Four little, five little bitches on my dick. Six little, seven little, eight little niggas make 9mm boys.
9mm nigga, how you figure it's a chance? Talking shit with your gun in your pants. I'ma step on your ass like a step. Brother looks as if to me that you a motherfucking deaf. Love a weak ass boy with a toy on the streets. Capping on the right motherfucker till he meet the wrong motherfucking pimp type operator who shoot a nigga first and then reason with him later. Now pump strip me out with a gun and no clip. Catching nothing but a charge cause he wanna be hip. But you slip anyway when you left without your bullets. Now be a stupid fool, reach for it then pull it. But you ain't cause you can't pull a gun with no ammo. You thinking you can beat it but you know you ain't Rambo. So it's best you try to beg for your life to stay alive. Cause tricks getting they dome blown away with 25. And I'm about to pop in me a clip and get hip. You better pack your bags cause you going on a trip. This shit is thick as Heinz and the shit is getting thicker. For the 9mm nigga.
Shit, is there a doctor in the house? Shit, damn, I think I'm dying. Shit, please call a doctor. Shit,
Them motherfucking pigs wanna fuck up the game. Sending niggas to jail because they sell cocaine. Rocks of crack make stacks of dead presidents. Junkies fiending for a hit, fucks up my residence. 5-0, we been trying to catch a nigga serve one. That's when I went and got my motherfucking shotgun. Niggas in the bushes trying to rob me for what I got. Watch them bitches scatter when I unload the buckshot. Jack or be Jack, creeper get creeped on. But nigga don't step wrong cause they ball keep a tone. And if it shoot at me, I hope you hit me and kill me dead. Cause if I don't die, I'm putting a hole in your fucking head. Scandalous hoes, love a nigga that's pale. Don't play that innocent role. And have a nigga fucked up, she'll suck your dick and then you'll fall in love. While you're at home sleeping, she's selling pussy at the club. But look here, hoes, I won't go out like a punk bitch. It takes more to get me than you fucking and sucking dick. Don't disrespect me, cause ho, I'm the truth. 9mm nigga smoke bitches too.
shit, is there a doctor in the house? Shit, damn, I think I'm dying. Shit, please call a doctor. Shit,
I told a motherfucking town when I got around. Cause pimps don't play and I gotta stay where young black niggas obey some kind of rule or strategy. Cause I can't be having things shit from no nigga who think his tone is backing me. Away from the shit he talk, this shit ain't worth being heard. I'm thinking about capping down, you ain't shooting shit with birds. But niggas who told the chase, I hope you young niggas think to creep from a pimp's backside before you take his bank. Cause I ain't no motherfucking target. Ain't no use in starting this shit with a nigga who legit smoking bud by the pounds, Orange Mound. Other niggas who down, they gonna step one out of step and jump one out of jump. I'ma be throwing bumps, they gon' be shooting pumps. Having a motherfucking tone really ain't shit to me. It's just another fucking responsibility. But we niggas like to turn crumbs into bricks. Getting off in the clique over some petty ass shit. MJG will play a punk like a toy. You little 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 little millimeter boy.
shit, is there a doctor in the house? Shit, damn, I think I'm dying. Shit,
OBS just crashed in the middle of bringing the stream up. So I don't know what the fuck just happened. It started a new stream or what? As you can see, the color got all fucking whack too.
My fellow New Yorkers, immigration is the New York City story. It is the American story. It is the story of those who boarded ships to reach these shores, the huddled masses yearning to breathe free. For centuries, immigrants have made that remarkable journey, that leap of faith, searching for freedom, safety, a shot at the American dream. And the asylum seekers who have arrived in our city since last spring are writing a new chapter in this timeless story. But as I declared nearly a year ago, we are facing an unprecedented state of emergency. The immigration system in this nation is broken. It has been broken for decades. Today, New York City has been left to pick up the pieces. Since last year, nearly 100,000 asylum seekers have arrived in our city asking for shelter. Let me repeat. Almost 100,000 men, women, and children have asked for a place to stay. That's almost the population of Albany, New York. And for more than a year, thousands of people across this administration and more than 100 community-based organizations have worked tirelessly to ensure that every person who has arrived here gets the opportunity to build their New York City dream. They do not have the authorization to work, so we have to provide shelter. We have supplied food and access to health care. We have enrolled children in schools. We have opened almost 200 emergency sites, including more than a dozen large-scale humanitarian relief centers. And we have assisted migrants with asylum applications. But we are past our breaking point. New Yorkers' compassion may be limitless, but our resources are not. And our partners at the state and federal levels know this. We continue to face impossible decisions about allocating our resources. And that means a lose-lose for our most vulnerable New Yorkers, as well as those seeking asylum. We saw the effects clearly last week outside the Roosevelt Hotel. Adult asylum seekers were sleeping on the pavement because our shelter system was full. I went again and again to speak with the men there. It broke my heart. It breaks this city's heart. Asylum seekers come here in search of a dream, not a nightmare. They come to work to contribute to our city and our nation's success. But the scenes outside the Roosevelt may sadly become more common if we don't get the support we need. Our city is already facing a severe housing shortage on top of trying to find space for our new arrivals. We have repeatedly asked state lawmakers to assist in building more affordable homes, but they have been unable to pass any meaningful legislation. And the costs have grown from our earlier estimates as more people continue to arrive. This is not sustainable. Let me put it in perspective for New Yorkers. For each family seeking asylum through the city's care, we spend an average of $383 per night to provide shelter, food, medical care, and social services. With more than 57,300 individuals currently in our care on an average night that amounts to $9.8 million a day, almost $300 million a month, and nearly $3.6 billion a year. But this is the floor, not the ceiling. This is only an estimate if the number of migrants in our care stays the same over time. It is clear to us, however, that without policy changes, the number of migrants arriving will continue to grow. This will increase our costs. If we continue down this unsustainable track with an average of almost 34,000 households a night over the course of just this fiscal year, that will increase costs to $4.7 billion. Hear me. If things do not change, our new estimates have us spending nearly $5 billion on this crisis in the current fiscal year. That's up from the $1.4 billion we spent last fiscal year, and it nearly equals the budgets of sanitation department, our parks department, and the FDNY combined. And if things do not change, we expect to have more than 100,000 asylum seekers in our care by the end of June 2025, driving projected spending to $6.1 billion in that fiscal year if we do not change course. That means over the course of 3 fiscal years, our city is projected to have spent more than $12 billion. To meet this need, we will have to add $7 billion to our financial plan. And this is on top of what we previously allocated for the crisis. This is the budgetary reality we are facing if we don't get the additional support we need from the federal and state governments. This is not just about numbers. This is about people fleeing despair and trauma.
Bro, hold up.
I have greeted asylum seekers at the Port Authority.
These motherfuckers are the ones that decided to be sanctuary cities, aren't they? Wasn't it up to them? Weren't they like, come on in? And now the rest of the country has to bail them out? That's what they're asking for right now. They tell the fucking whole world that they're a sanctuary city. Everybody come here. And they just expect, and I even live in one of these cities, dude, and it's like, what the fuck are they thinking? For me, like I'm like, this makes me look like I'm part of this because I live here. You know, I live in Los Angeles, so I must have voted in the people that are making these stupid ass decisions. No, actually, I don't vote in these dumbass elections. It wouldn't fucking matter anyway, dude. Have you seen the blue waves and all? Like what would it do?
I've slept by their side on the coldest day of the year, and I have sat with a mother whose husband was lost to this crisis. She now faces raising her 3 children alone. The city is running out of money, appropriate space, and personnel to care for families like hers. We are grateful to Governor Hochul for all she has done to help our city. But the number of asylum seekers increasing, we need more from our state partners. And I want to thank U.S. Senate Majority Leader Schumer, Democratic Leader Jeffries.
Wait, what does that mean? We need more from our state partners. Like, okay. Okay, so he's asking for governor. Okay, as long as they keep it in their state, I don't give a shit. But once they start asking for federal funds, that's when they're starting to cross the line, because asking for federal funds is one thing, but trying to change the legislation is another. They need to be trying to change the legislation so they're not being bombarded, not fucking telling everybody to come to their city and then asking for the government just to give them money to, like, no, that shouldn't be how this is working. They want it to happen like that though, because then they keep getting voted in by all the immigrants.
And members of the New York City congressional delegation for all their efforts at the federal level to get us the support we need. New Yorkers did not create an international humanitarian crisis,
go away.
but New Yorkers have been left to deal with this crisis almost entirely on our own. It has been fueled by those in Congress who stand in the way of real immigration reform, by governors who have used vulnerable asylum seekers as political pawns.
And just so everybody knows what's going on here, I've done a lot for Simon already this morning, dude. He's eaten, he's gotten 2 different medications, and I even thoroughly cleaned out his litter box. I did the whole deep clean on that bitch. You know what I mean? Where you took it to the bathtub and everything with the the dish soap. Blow dried it out, make sure it was all good and super dry. Put baking soda in the bottom of it, put fresh litter in it. You know what I mean? He has to wait, man. He's got to fucking wait. I'm glad he's hungry and all, but holy shit, he's probably not even going to eat when I put it down. So it's just like, oh me. Not whining anymore. I couldn't even listen because he was starting to meow a bunch.
Almost entirely on our own. It has been fueled by those in Congress who stand in the way of real immigration reform, by governors who have used vulnerable asylum.
And there was a fucking dead rat on my front porch this morning, dude. I guess the cat underneath the house is bringing me presents. So that was fun to pick up. Fuck, man. God, that's so fucked up to pick up a dead rat. A big old thing was like this big. I should have taken a picture of it. I should have taken a picture of it so I could be like, look at this big ass rat. But I just wanted to get it over with, dude. I'm not the type to like taking pictures of nasty shit. Like my bathtub didn't need to get cleaned, my toilet didn't need to get cleaned, the rat. I'm not really into that. I like taking pictures of pretty things, you know, beautiful things. But yeah, and then check this shit out. Right, sorry to interrupt, but this before I forget that this happened. It's because this is the first time it's happened. It's very strange, right? I put out my trash bins. It's Wednesday, recycling, and my other one, my regular bin. And lo and behold, I hear something. Boom! Look out the window. There's somebody going through my recycling bin already, right? But then I look closer, and this dude like took pretty much like the whole bag or some shit. I don't even know if he took anything out of it. It looks like he was going through it, taking stuff out, but then he just ended up just taking the whole bag. I don't know if it's because he saw the other guy coming or what, but I realized as he was walking off, it's my clean neighbor. Like, they lives a few doors down. I've seen walk the streets all the time, but he doesn't look the type to do that. Like, he's normally, he doesn't, like, I've only seen him in clean clothing, right? The other guy that does it, literally the only time I ever see him, he's doing that, and he looks like he's dressed for the job, right? He's like got a mask on, he's got like a apron or something, he's got gloves and everything. This dude's like done up, looking like he does this for a living. But it was one of my neighbors this time. And he came back before the other guy, and then like they took my whole bag, and then I noticed the other guy pull up across the street, and was like kind of looking down, like what just happened, kind of over here, and then went through across the street's trash. He didn't get anything out of that one. You just kind of look through it like this is some bullshit. And then you come over to mine. Mine's like the honeypot of recycling. I really do a good job at separating it, apparently. I rinse things out. It's like not a bunch of sticky shit or cooked shit. You know, it's like all like, it's stuff that they can easily take and make money off of. But then, okay, this dude comes over, looks at mine, notices there's nothing in there that he wants left. You could probably tell that it's already been rummaged through. And then like goes off, and this other dude's got like a bike with bags hanging off of it, and you can tell he's going trash can to trash can. The dude that went through my neighbor, He didn't have any of that. He just had, I think he just had my bag, dude. I'm not even sure if he had anybody else recycling besides mine. Just mine, maybe. And he went out on the sidewalk and just went home. But then I see his ass walk back past my place, dude. He walked, like he was, I don't know if he's going to get somebody else's. Why doesn't he have a cart or something? But he's just walking by like he was going to go walk around the block and have a cigarette or something. I don't know, man. It fucking trips me out, though. I don't know if I had anything identifiable in there where he's going to try to... Where he's going to try to, like, identity theft me or something, but it's just weird. He's not homeless. This other one actually definitely has a place around here. For sure, and he's lived here for years, but I've never, since I've lived here, seen him go through my recycling like that. Not once, not ever. And I look, whenever I hear something out there, I'll check out to see who it is. That's fucking weird, man. He was like, he was just, I definitely know, like, recognize him from living in, I feel like asking him, like, hey, so you started going through my recycling now? Are you hurting for money or what? What's up, man? Like, I don't want to be rude, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, what the fuck is going on, man? I just can't imagine myself going through my neighbor's fucking trash. It's one thing when it's the random guy that's, dry, like he does it every day, different streets. You dig? Like it hits too. It's what are you doing, man? I see you walking by. Like you're my neighbor. You're not supposed to be going through my trash. Now that's when it's starting to get fucking weird for me. Isn't it a little fucking weird? Pay the bills with you talking about pay. Here's the thing. Here's the fucking thing that pisses me off about it. Right? I separate my recycling for two reasons. Right? One of them is to, be a wholesome member of society by not just putting plastics and shit back into the environment. And also to help the city out somewhat, a little bit maybe. And maybe they might not increase my refuge costs. If they're making enough off their recycling service, maybe they won't increase the amount we have to pay to get our trash picked up. You know what I mean? But if they're not making enough off of it to run them trucks because all these fucking asshats are taking it out of the things and making the money themselves, then they're going to increase my refuse costs. That's what these fucking assholes don't realize, because we're all going to, like, they make the money so we all have to pay for it. It's selfish as shit them going through my trash, and especially if he's my fucking neighbor, dude. Dude... That's disrespectful, dude. That's so disrespectful, dude, to go through your neighbor's trash. Like I said, it's one thing when you're the guy with the bike that's going through neighborhood after neighborhood, and I don't know you, I only see you when you're fucking going through that. But if I see you all the time walking down my street because I know you're my neighbor and you're going through my trash, that shit just got awkward. I'm not. That's too much. I do feel like kind of like, hey, man, I don't know though, because I'm the gringo. I'm the fucking gringo, dude. They're looking for an excuse not to like me, probably. I am the gringo. No other gringo here.
There's been national humanitarian crisis, but New Yorkers have been left to deal with this crisis almost entirely on our own.
And that's why my recycling is so meticulously separated and well done, and it's like a honey hole, probably, because the others around here, dude, man, my old neighbor, he didn't even use trash bags half the time. His shit would just fucking be filled up with dude, maggots would be coming out of his city trash can all the time. They would be crawling out of it into my garage and shit. Because he would use bags. A lot of these people don't believe in using bags because they cost money. So imagine going through that looking for someone's recycling, trying to like. They'll have a recycling bin full of trash. Also, they'll just use it for trash. They don't give a shit. They don't tell the city that they need a non-recycling bin because they don't really use the recycling bin. They just keep using the recycling bin for a trash can. That kind of shit it happens a lot here. Stupid, man. People fucking dude. Living in a big city sometimes is irritating. You know? Hey, Ruby in the house. What's going on? Kick his ass, Seabass. Let's go. They're doing it on their own, man. Feel sorry for New York. You did this to yourselves, asshole. Okay. For real, man. All the sanctuary cities do it to themselves, and I live in one. I think I do. Let me see.
It has been fueled by those in Congress who stand in the way of real immigration reform, by governors who have used vulnerable asylum seekers as political pawns, by the indifference of leaders across the nation. Now, let me be clear. New York City will not abandon our brothers and sisters seeking the American dream. Thanks to the teamwork of so many, both in and outside of government, including our faith-based and nonprofit partners.
We are here.
We have done more than any city to provide for so many migrants in such a short period of time. We have met a historic crisis with historic compassion. And while we are past our breaking point, we will never just slam the door of opportunity. We have had productive conversations with our state and federal partners, and they show real commitment to supporting our efforts, but we need additional resources now. The best way to solve this problem is by all of us working together. The state can support us by taking reasonable actions to ease the burden of our city. We need a statewide decompression strategy to help free up space in our shelter system and reduce the pressure.
Piss off
on
the
our
Republicans of New York. That's where we start
the
with
state
this.
recently announced humanitarian relief centers that they will reimburse us for, but we need more. The state can also allocate more funding to match our needs on the ground. And we are willing to work with every locality across New York State to provide support for asylum seekers because they need to play their part, just like Buffalo,
I don't give a
White
shit.
Plains, and others have.
Buffalo, White Plains.
If these actions are taken, they will ease the burden on our city's resources and will enable us to reevaluate the impact on our budget.
To see how New York
And
reacts
while many
to this.
Republicans in Congress may be holding up critical reform, the White House can help us now. I agree with Massachusetts
The White
Governor
House.
Healy.
Oh, see that?
The federal government must take action. We appreciate them sending a team from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security to New York City to assess the situation this week. There's more they can do, including expediting pathways to work authorizations for asylum seekers. I have heard it directly from all the asylum seekers I've spoken with. They want to work. There's nothing more anti-American than not letting people work. Imagine
Dude, I honestly don't see there being 100,000 open jobs in New York right now. With the cost of living and everything, what are they creating some other industry all of a sudden with these people that they're going to be needed for? That's why I'm confused on this one. Is there a bunch of farmland that all of a sudden they lost the workers for and they need all these people now? Do we have more vegetables growing? Do we are more people going to restaurants? So they need more people working in the back for cooking and cleaning? No, they're not actually. I know I don't ever go out to eat anymore. I know a lot of other people are the same way because these tipping and all this shit's gotten way out of hand, man. And where else are they not fucking needed? Where house building? Are more people buying new houses now, or is there more new construction? No, actually the opposite is happening in the world. People are defaulting on their new houses, saying I don't want it anymore. I decided to change that. I'm going to take the loss on what I put down. I don't want any more. That was a bad idea. I'm going to hold off. That's happening at the highest rates it's ever happened in our history. So where are these workers needed at? I remember how hard it was for me to find a job when I was looking back in the day. Has that gotten easier or something? Hey, Pubs. Hey. Hold on. Doing all right. How you doing?
A boost to our nation's economy if we were to fill the hundreds of thousands of jobs that need workers right now.
Right.
Is the right thing to do, and it is smart economics. We're also asking the federal government to declare a state of emergency. This will allow federal funds to be allocated quickly to help address the urgent challenges we face. Additionally,
There we go.
the federal government needs to provide more funding to match the reality
and
of the
more.
cost on the ground.
And quicker.
Finally, we need the federal government to lead a decompression strategy at the border so cities and states...
That's what you should have started with, motherfucker, not the money. Not, you know what I mean, man? Like, y'all need to figure that shit out. Y'all got a lot of money in New York.
Across the nation.
All them Jews that are out there, hey, I ain't even fucking playing. They're like the what is it, the diamond capital of the fucking world or something, as well as some precious metal or like everything is happening over there. They got Wall Street and all that shit. Get the fuck out of here. Y'all get your own goddamn money.
Can do their part to shelter asylum seekers. Because cities like New York, Boston, Chicago, Los Angeles, Houston, and El Paso cannot be left to shoulder a national crisis without the proper aid. Again, if we don't get the support we need, New Yorkers could be left with a $12 billion
Good. Piss
bill.
off New Yorkers. That's
So,
what this is about. This, like,
while New York City will continue
That's
to
cool.
lead,
I don't give a
it's
shit about
time
that.
the state and federal government step up. We will continue to do more than any other city or level of
They'll
government in the
change this
nation to
sanctuary shitty
accommodate
bullshit
asylum
if they're
seekers.
pissed off enough.
Because that's who we are, a city of empathy, of compassion, and care.
Oh, yeah.
And we know...
Hey, who's been to New York? Who's walked around in New York late at night by themselves or some shit? Do you feel the love? Is that a city you feel the love in? I don't remember that happening. I've been there a few times. Diamond District, yeah, but it's actually like more diamonds and I think precious metal pass through New York City than any other city in the world, is what I'm saying. They have a lot going on over a lot of, yeah. We have, because we have a jewelry district here and all that like type shit, but it's the next level out there because they have so many Jewish people. I'm sorry to put it like that, but they got connections, man. Right.
In the long run, asylum seekers will contribute to our strength like so many before them. They have already begun to make homes, to give back to their communities, to become New Yorkers. As President Obama has said.
But they come here and they're repping their country like to the fullest. Like, Venezuela! Venezuela! You know, and they need to make laws so that they cannot go home to vacation. Once they seek asylum here, they haven't done this. And they are, the asylum seekers are doing this. There are the statistics on it. Like, they see, whenever your passport stamped, they see that shit. You know what I'm saying? So they see these asylum seekers coming to their countries, seeking asylum, and then going home to their mother country, father, whatever, for vacation, dude. So how scared are you if you're going back for vacation? That you need asylum? Really? You're seeking asylum, but you're willing to go back and kick it there and be, yeah, hey, we did it. Oh, party time. You know, like they go back and they're partying their asses off because they're rich now in comparison to what they would be. They're coming here to make money, dude. And they want the federal government to fund all this shit? Bro.
We were once strangers, too. 40% of all Americans can trace their heritage to Ellis Island right here in New York Harbor.
Yeah, but were boats allowed to just show up to Ellis Island unauthorized or whatever? Or did they just Were boats just? I really, that's a serious question. I don't know if that's how it worked or not. Like back in the day when this was going on, were like, did they have to have some sort of authorization before they came in with a bunch of people on their boat, or could they just randomly show up and New York would be like, "Hey, welcome to New York. We'll get this shit figured out." You might know. That's a serious question. Because it had to have changed. At one point, it probably was like that. It had to have been like that at one point because this was wild as shit. But once they had stuff like this, they would have had at least Telegram, right? So that would have traveled across. That traveled across the ocean, didn't it? By that point, information could travel back and forth. Did we have that by then? I'm looking into it.
This city and this nation have been shaped by those who we have welcomed. Immigrants are our friends, our families, our neighbors. They are the hardworking New Yorkers who make life here possible. This is the magic of this city. People of all backgrounds living together in one place. New York City remains a beacon for all who come to our shores. And we will continue to uphold these values and reach out a helping hand to those in need. This is the New York City way. It is time for that to be the American way again.
Is it over? Oh wait, did he go somewhere else to talk? That.
12 billion.
Oh, he did. He took questions. Hold up. So I got this right here. I'm gonna watch that in a second. This says talking about historic stuff for Ellis Island, historic legal inspection, national monument. Will you become public? Inspectors behind desk asked immigrants their name, hometown, occupation, destination, and amount of money they carried. Those allowed to pass continued downstairs. Those detained for additional legal examination waited an opportunity to explain further in the Board of Special Inquiry room where the hearing would be held. About 1% would be denied admission for violation of American laws. Watching the clock. Come back and read the legal question sections later if needed. There's only one more step. The stairs of separation. You're ready. Walk toward the center stairs of the west side of the Great Hall. See, I need to see the first. What the hell am I even looking at? Were they allowed to just show up? Even that long ago, was it? Do anybody know? They're getting the free phones, man. The Tyson chicken plant's closed. Sales are down. Yeah, dude, people are getting laid off left and right for some, like, what else is closed? It's not Swift, a different trucking company, the orange one, just shut down. I think 10,000 people are out of work from that alone. What was the orange trucking company, y'all? Interstate? Them chicken plants, so they would probably have actually hired a bunch of the immigrants too, because you know what I mean. Meat slaughtering and stuff like that oftentimes has a ton of immigrants because it's shitty work. You're killing animals all day. You're having to deal with bloodborne pathogens possibly, and that shit happened. I'd seen a dude. He got like some shit on his arms, and like forever he was gonna have like shit on his arms. Like it was like psoriasis looking shit. The bloodborne pathogen though that he got from doing a slaughtering. Yeah, that place had a weird smell coming out of it too. The one I'm thinking of particularly was in Greeley, Colorado. The ConAgra plant out there. I think it's staying. Hospitals are closing due to immigrants. I haven't heard that one. I really want to know about if ships were allowed to just show up. What illegal action we take? What? Oh, a dark side. It was a detention center. '48, 1907. Opened on January 1st, 1892. 1907 was its busiest year. Whoa, people would be stuck for months sometimes inside the detention center. And they bitch about kids in cages nowadays. Now they gotta put them up at the Ritz-Carlton. What a time to change. That's fucking crazy, dude. We went from putting them in detention centers for months to putting them up in the most prestigious hotel in New York. Is there a more prestigious hotel than that one? Are they in the Waldorf Astoria? Well, I forget where they're at. It's something that I've heard of before, though. They're not even using for anything but immigrants now. It's in a very expensive piece of real estate in Manhattan. Why are they in Manhattan anyway? If it makes sense. Like they could have been, could have just put them in New Jersey. Now they gotta have them in New York. They could have still been in somewhere else. Do they have to be in that county? I called Ellis Island a concentration camp with steam, heat, and running water. Oh. Yo, Adams needs to look into their history a little bit more. They weren't so welcoming after all. I don't think Ritz-Carlton, I don't think they're actually being used. I was just saying that because everybody knows what that is and that it's expensive. But yeah, wherever they're staying, it's getting paid. Which, yeah, he said it costs millions of dollars a night to house these people. That's why they could have put them up in a Motel 6 or something, man, where the fucking sheets feel like 20 dogs have drooled on them. Oh, you know, though, not the sheets, that over blanket. If you ever stay in a pet-friendly hotel, just so you know, they don't clean that comforter that goes on the outside of any hotel room that you go to, unless that thing has like puke that they can't scrape off or blood stains or something that's super disgusting. That thing doesn't get cleaned. And you can tell this if you ever stay in a pet-friendly hotel. Just rub your hand across the comforter a little bit, and then before do this first, and feel what your hands feel like normally, and then rub both hands on the comforter or one hand, whichever, and then rub them together, and they'll feel different. And that's how you know that shit's got nastiness all over it. I cleaned hotel rooms for a little bit for labor ready, so it didn't even really matter the hotel either. Or maybe if it's super fucking ultra high end, but man, you know what I'm saying? It takes a lot of water to clean all those, so they're trying not to. Oh.
Hi, Mr. Mayor.
How are you?
I'm good. Could you or somebody up here break down the 12 billion projected cost you just talked about, you know, in terms of how much of that is going towards actual housing, how much is going towards social services, legal services, health services? Can somebody just give us a sense of how that is estimated to break down over the next few years?
Yeah, first of all, I thank God when Jock came on board, he was already bald-headed because he would have lost all his hair by now. So, Jock, why don't you come give some of these numbers?
There's going to be a technical briefing after 1:30. I could get into the detail with you, but most of the cost basically is the cost of shelter because the cost is driven by the census. So as we have more people coming to the system, that's what we have to shelter a lot more people. So that's what drive the cost. But I will provide you more information at the technical briefing.
Mayor, you guys submit the list to the states when it comes to needs, and are you guys on a state?
Why the fuck could they have sheltered all the homeless people and nicerly? Yeah, that's what's so fucking irritating about all this shit, dude. You know what I mean? Like, they're inviting all these people from other countries that already had places to stay, probably. They probably had a job. They probably had an apartment or whatever, and they were paying their bills, and they're taking them in when they already had, they were doing we're not helping our own fucking people, dude. It's so irritating. I'm not even talking about the veterans. Veterans are taken care of for the most part. The non-veterans out there, the ones that don't have that to fall back on, aren't very taken care of, dude. They're just not. They need better, like, drug and alcohol programs for these people, rather than the fucking bullshit that they're putting them through. Or bologna sandwiches or what the fuck ever. You know what I'm saying? When these actors and people in Hollywood go to a treatment program, they don't have to feel like they're in jail at the same time. So it's easier, a little easier to like get in the vibe of it and get in the routine of it. But man, a lot of these, I know from experience, dude, a lot of these programs that they have for normal homeless people that aren't veterans, like, I'm very lucky to be able to go through the programs I can go through, but regular civilians, man, it's some bullshit, like going through some like Salvation Army or whatever, you know, whatever else thrift store thing there is. What's the other one? Is there another one? But you know that stuff like that, they're shit, dude, and they're scary. They're sketch. The beds are all fucking run down. They make you go to church, so they're usually like religious instead of like AA based. They're more religious based. A lot of people turned off on that alone. Dude, anyway, the people that got money or they got the ability to go to better programs that the VA offers, like me, we don't really have to worry about that shit. Everybody's always harping on the veterans. They need to be worried about regular people, dude, right now, because there are a shit ton of them in the streets. The veterans are good. We're good, man. Those other programs are shit, though. I could never do them. I wouldn't do them. Not a civilian program. Fuck that. I went to one, but it was actually endorsed by the VA, and they had a special house for us that were for the veterans that we got to stay at together. As soon as they moved me out of that house, I left the program, actually, because I didn't like it anymore. I liked being in the veteran house. But, well, let's carry on. I was there for 7 months, though.
More information at the technical briefing.
Mayor, you guys submit the list to the states when it comes to needs, and are you guys on the same page with the states? Because I'm hearing from sources within the governor's administration saying that they don't believe that they have to uphold this court order from the judge last week.
All this is going to be played out in court. The judge is going to determine what must be done and what shouldn't be done. We want to focus on how do we operate as a partner to navigate us through these extremely difficult times. And, Judge Radix, the Corp Counsel, she's going to discuss what we need to do when we get back into the courtroom. But again, we want to thank what the governor has done with our congressional delegation, what they have done as well. But we laid out our case. The potentiality that New York City residents are going to have a $12 billion potential price tag over the 3 fiscal years is something we have to deeply think about. We talk about $12 billion in addition to what we already need to run this city. And it's unfair for New Yorkers to carry that burden.
Letter to the state with those needs?
No, it is not unfair for he needs to specify whether he means New York Cityers or New York Staters, because for that part, they decided to be this sanctuary city, so it's both of them are complete. They're actually more responsible than the state is for this. They didn't make them be the sanctuary city, did they? Didn't they vote this shit in for their city? Because it is sanctuary city. Fucking guy.
Yes, Judge. Wearing your what's that new movie that's
I guess I grew hair, right, Chuck? Good morning.
Dude, why does seeing them laugh piss me off so much? It's like, why are you laughing? Stop it. There's nothing funny right now. You're in a fucking crisis. Look like it.
The Callahan document requires that the court have conferences in chambers. That's why there has not been a lot of publicity with reference to what the court is requesting. The document that you just referred to with reference to request for a letter happens to be a court order. We are going to comply with the court's request and the court's order. We have no idea who is not going to do that. You asked the mayor whether that cannot be done. He doesn't know, but we know that it's an order from the court, and we expect that it will be followed.
Mr. Mayor, I'm wondering if you might be able to address how this situation might define your administration as you prepare for re-election. I know it's early, but I know that this has overshadowed a lot of work that you have done. I mean, how do you extricate yourself politically from this situation?
Well, no, this situation has not overshadowed the success of this administration. You guys are just not covering it, the success of this administration. When you look at what this team has done around, record levels of people who we put in housing, what we've done around public safety to decrease in crime, what we've done investment in children, summer youth employment. This administration, we're going to have a clear record of how well we have dealt with this crisis. And listen, every mayor had a crisis that he had to handle. Bloomberg had 9/11. De Blasio had COVID. You don't sit back as a mayor and say, woe is me. You say, why not me? I want the ball. This is the city that I love, that I protected as a police officer. This is the city I want to lead. I thank God every day that I'm the mayor of the city right now during these difficult times. And we're going to continue to move the ball down the field. I have an amazing team. They're dedicated. They're committed to what we do. And, it's a blessing that we have Deputy Mayor William Isom, who's coordinating this, a military expert, and Zach Isco.
It is like 9/11. It's an attack on our country.
In charge of immigrant affairs.
It's a terror attack.
When you look at where we are, we're going to manage
Each
this
one of them is
as
a
we
little
manage
mini
all
bomb.
the other items that we have to deal with. This is a blemish. Oh, don't interrupt me, please. Don't interrupt me. I do not interrupt when you ask questions.
God
Don't
dang.
interrupt when I'm answering them. And you could ask your question as long as you
Such
want,
an
and I'm going to answer
asshole.
as long as I want. That's the rules that we did day one when I became the mayor.
There was a lot of black. Yo, I just noticed how many black people are on the stage. That's insane right now. I think she's like something else, possibly, but she's definitely black. Black, black, black. Is this guy black? He could be mixed black, and she could be. It's fucking good. Look at this shit. This is New York. I'm a little blow. Is this a black lady too? Like, if this were Memphis, I would totally get it, because Memphis is 70-something% black people. But what the fuck has happened to New York?
The blemish is not on this
Yes,
administration.
he is
The blemish
black.
is on the national government that we are allowing.
What happened? George Floyd? This New York has been George Floyded, bro. The only white person there is a sign language person. She actually knows how to do something. Sorry.
Of our local municipalities. That's the blemish. We're going to do our job. That's my job, to protect the people of the city and everyone in the city.
I don't know. What is happening?
I'm going to do that job. Now, you wanted to finish up? Oh, let him finish. Go ahead. You had another part of it? Yes.
Oh, my God.
Follow-up question, Mr. Mayor. I'm wondering that you are the face of this crisis right now. People see you struggling with this crisis. How do you address residents of New York City to reassure them that you've got things under control?
You said people see me struggling?
Yeah, with the situation. I mean, we are, as you said, in a crisis, right?
Yes, but I'm not struggling. I'm managing a crisis, and anyone who has managed a crisis before.
Dude, hold up. No, if you have to ask for help from dad, you're struggling. If you got to be like, Dad, can I borrow some money, Dad? I'm kind of behind on my bills. I can't handle this. It's over my head. I'm just trying to swim. That's struggling, right? You fucking shithead. He's such a smug little. I don't like this guy. I haven't liked him since he's been. I'm not even in New York, man. I feel sorry for the Republicans that live in New York. I bet they're leaving, right? They're probably moving to New Jersey.
A crisis, and anyone who.
But did you hear about that? New Jersey is actually suing New York because New York's putting up a bunch of these tolls on regular streets, and it's disproportionately affecting New Jersey residents that work in New York. So you want to move out of New York and work in New York? We'll still get our money. That's what they're doing. So yeah, if you didn't hear about that one, that's fairly recent. It's from like a week or two ago.
A crisis before, know that the leadership is important. We went over a year. I think this started in April. We went over a year. When we had 15,000, I stated it was time to call a state of emergency. We went over a year. What we were successful in doing, one, as we stated, we want no child and family to be sleeping on the streets. We were successful in doing that. We were able to shield, for the most part, the New York City public from the depth of this crisis. For a year, we managed what we were going through night after night after night. And people were able to carry out their regular days because of how we managed that. And so I'm the face of a successful city that successfully is doing what no other city has been able to do at the magnitude that we have been able to do. That's the face you're seeing. You're seeing the face of a good manager with a good team managing a crisis that we are facing.
Smug as shit, dude. You're too. If he gets reelected, that'll be wild, dude. Because he's pretty much tooting his own horn, saying how good he's doing, while at the same time begging for help from everyone, from the state to the federal government. I'm surprised he's not asking for. Why aren't they getting like a telethon going on here? All kinds of performers, jugglers and shit. At least we get something out of that. For Jerry Lewis?
During Jock's technical briefing, he'll go through that, but we don't know the exact number because this is a moving target. The latest round of asylum seekers and migrants we're receiving, there's a large number of them are children and families. And so it's a moving number, and it's difficult to say exactly how much. Our chief of staff had a meeting. We called the state to prepare them, state education to prepare them of the potentiality of what we're facing. But we have been successful through the chancellor and through the entire DOE team. We have been successful in absorbing those young people to make sure no child is going without education in our school systems. We don't have the exact number because it's a continuing, growing, and moving number.
Mr. Mayor, at what point is the sympathetic, empathetic, right thing to do for the entire city? At what point is it that you either turn away the migrants or bus them to other places because the city has reached its breaking point, as you say, we've crossed that breaking point? And my second question is, at what point, what has the Biden administration told you specifically as to why they have sent as little money as they have sent so far?
Well,
The Vitamin Ministry Administration.
we are going to never reach the point where we're going to do what those governors did, just using migrants as political pawns. We're never going to do that. And we are at the breaking point. You know, what you saw outside the Roosevelt Hotel a few days ago was because, as we stated, there was no more room. There was just no more room. And we had to, until we were able to find new spaces, we had to temporarily have people that was outdoors. And, you know, I went there. I spoke with those men. No families were out there. I spoke with those men and, you know, told them what we were dealing with to the best of our ability until we were able to find Deputy Mayor Williams Isom and Commissioner Isco was able to find new locations, and churches stood up and assisted us. But we would never reach the point where we're going to do what others have done. But we are out of room. This is not sustainable. It's not sustainable for the state at these numbers that are coming in. It's only a matter of time before we're going to even fill up the state. So there needs to be a change in course.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Do you think it's a failure of state government that the governor has not asked President Biden to declare a federal emergency?
The governor has been a real partner, and we have communicated often. She has assisted us putting $1 billion in the budget. She found a site for us at Creekmore, where we're going to be putting up a new location. She's assisting us with other spaces. We spoke yesterday after the announcement in the Bronx. We just need more help on a state level. We need additional help. And I'm going to continue to advocate on what we need here. And so we believe one of the things we should do is to call for a state of emergency. And I know that she has been in communication with the White House, but I think, you know, exactly at what pace, that's something that I think you should present to the governor.
Has she asked Biden directly? Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Mayor, Staten Island and Buffalo have reacted pretty swiftly to a possible migrant center or assisted living facility. What would you say to them about their negative reaction and the importance of different parts of the city sharing equal burden for this issue?
I don't know if it's so much of a negative reaction or positive reaction. I think that people are just, you know, feeling the weight of this. And so when people say, well, you know, Eric, you guys said you were out of room before, but you keep finding space, it's just not desirable space. I mean, can you imagine waking up every day, you know, sleeping on a cot, you know, not having your basic needs, and the inability to work and provide for your family?
Not having your basic needs. See, that I don't understand. What basic need? What is a need in his mind? Having your own room and your own bathroom and your own little kitchenette and everything? Is that a basic need? Because that's what he sounds like, dude. And it's like they're getting these people like brand new cots. It looks like everything is brand new whenever they set up a thing for these people. So, and anybody that's been to Mexico knows these people will sleep on the fucking sidewalk if they have to. in their own countries, right? So they do damn well what they were going to be coming in here to, but now like them making them to where they're living in these plush environments, they're spoiling the shit out of them. You wonder why everybody wants to come to New York. They hear the stories at the border, like, hey man, you make it to New York, they put you up in a fucking hotel room for a month or whatever, however long they do it. And then they can go wherever the hell they want after that. A Greyhound ticket's only about $50 to go pretty much halfway across the country. At least it used to be one way, you know, so it's fucking crazy, dude. They can get their chips up while they're in New York, maybe, while they get the free place to stay, and then go to where they were going to go after that. New York's being used.
And I'm just going to keep saying this over and over again until it really resonates with all of us. Just think about your ancestors. Can you imagine coming here if you were African, Irish, Jewish, Polish, German, Chinese, coming here and your family members would say,
they weren't
your dad.
Hold up, were they handed places to stay when they came here? Because I've never seen any historical like movie or anything that's about our past that shows them putting people up when they got to Ellis Island, dude. Like, oh, welcome, you're new here. Hey, we got a place for you to stay for a little while, and here's some food. Here's a job. It was like quite the contrary. You come here and you were getting your fucking silver spoon stolen, and you were lucky to get a job plucking chickens. Maybe they'd want you boxing people like far and away, like, you know what I mean? That kind of shit. That was the reality. You weren't just getting handed shit when you got here. Nothing that I've seen. I've seen a lot of movies about I haven't read a lot of books, but movies that were supposedly historically factual, and none of them show me that they were being given shit. Besides that, far and away, the Oklahoma land race. But who the fuck wants to live in Oklahoma? Even the immigrants aren't coming here to live there. The ones that come now. All the child molesters out there. They don't have to register in Oklahoma, by the way. Pedos, there's no registration for them there.
Was told you cannot provide for the basic needs of your family. That is so inhumane. That is so anti-American. And so I understand the feeling that people are having on the ground, but this is what outer space means. We have to find less than desirable locations for people to stay in this unsustainable fashion. I don't know how Zach and how they do it every night, that they have to continue to find, going to McCarran Park, going to Sunset Park, going to Randall's Island, going to Creekmore. Every night we have to be creative to find places to allow people to stay so they don't live like other municipalities.
Mm-hmm. So they all come there then. They're all going to come to your city.
What is the federal government saying? What reasons are they giving to you in those conversations about why, not just the funding, right, but why are they not willing to do some faster track work authorizations or temporary protected status? Are they indicating to you, as Congressman Bowman suggested yesterday, that it's too risky politically before the 2024 election? Can you just give us a little more idea of what it is that they're telling you in those conversations?
Well, let's be clear on my role as the mayor. My role as the mayor is to use within my scope of authority to make sure that I manage a crisis in our city, and then to go to Albany, to go to Washington, to advocate on behalf of the city. That's what I have done. And I've gone beyond that by traveling to El Paso and communicating with the administrators there to look firsthand what was happening at the borders, and speaking with some of my borders leaders, organizing with my mayors, the mayor of Houston, the mayor of Chicago, the mayor of Los Angeles, to have a unified voice around this issue. And in addition to that, my role is to go to D.C. and sit down. We sat down in D.C. with the White House just 2 weeks ago, or a little more than 2 weeks ago. My chief of staff and I sat down with the Secretary of Homeland Security and other White House personnel and articulate what we needed. Now, it appears as though our voices are finally being heard. And it's unfortunate that sometimes it takes more than one conversation before people understand the definition of what outer room is and that we need assistance. We know that now the Department of Homeland Security is going to bring a team here to walk through. I thought it was brilliant on the part of the Chief of Staff and her team to start doing these walkthroughs. People needed to see this. We had corporate leaders come in and walk through. We had congressional delegations come in and walk through. You know, sometimes when things are not in front of you and you don't see it, you don't realize the impact. And so we believe the series of things that this team has done is now allowing people to see firsthand what we have been doing and the urgency of the matter. This is not a philosophical, theoretical classroom project. This is real. And we have to bring people on the ground and say, this is what we're doing every night. And I'm hoping that is moving the tide in the right direction. But we're frustrated that it's taking this long.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
I'm wondering, is the city planning cuts to services to reduce existing costs for asylum seekers in its care? And sort of give us specifics as to what those are. And then can you just give us an update on the numbers that we usually get every week on total people in care and asylum seekers in care and how many arrived last week?
$12 billion. $12 billion. That has to come from somewhere. $12 billion. That has to come from somewhere. Every service in this city, when we were at $4 billion, I stated that every service in this city will be impacted. So imagine when we had $12 billion.
Right. Salmon's food.
Every service in this city is going to be impacted. Even if we stay at $4 billion, we did how many rounds of PACs? We did 3 rounds of program to eliminate the gaps. 3. Going to our agencies and saying you have to find efficiencies without cutting services. 3 rounds we did that. So we did 3 rounds at the 1 point something billion dollars. Can you imagine what we have to do at $12 billion? So every service in the city is going to be impacted. There was a second part of the numbers.
We have over 57,300 asylum seekers currently in our care. Over 98,500 asylum seekers have come through our intakes since the spring of 2022. We've opened 198 sites, including 13 large-scale humanitarian relief centers. And last week, from 7:30 to 8/6, more than 2,900 new asylum seekers entered our care.
That was, hold on, I'm sorry, that was the number you gave at 2,900, that was for the week.
7:30 to 8/6.
For the week.
For the week.
29, no, let that settle in. 2,900. So we continue to do an average of 2,500 a week, 5,000 every 2 weeks, 10,000 a month. You don't have to be a mathematician to understand what this is doing to our city. How you doing, Marsha? Go ahead.
I wonder, with the advent of more families with children coming to the city and expected to arrive in the city in the next weeks and months, how that changes the problem for you. Because so far, a lot of the shelters that you are about to open are large facilities like on Randall's Island or at Creedmoor that are basically cots where people live in a dormitory setting. But when you have to place families with children, you have to enter schools. Do they have to be near schools? And how does that change it? Do you have to have hotels? Do you have to have different kinds of services? And could you talk about how that changes the magnitude of your problem.
That's a good catch on your part. Deputy Mayor Williams Eisen shared with us in our briefing that the percentage of people who are arriving, of our largest percentage, are those families with children. The last time we were updated, that may change. What I saw last week, which is a very interesting shift that a lot of people may have missed, there were single men, but we were dealing with a large Venezuelan population. Now we are seeing people coming from all over the globe, not only through South America. They're flying into Nicaragua, going up through Mexico, and coming across the border. And that creates a new dynamic. But when you talk about families with children, which we see is the substantial increase that we're getting, or the largest percentage, talking about everything changes. You're talking about we can't use the congregate settings the way we traditionally do, because you have to always worry about protecting children. You have to make sure they're not lined up on the sidewalk like we saw when you was dealing with the single adult males. You have to, make sure they're in school, that they have all the proper school supplies that come with it. So it's just an entire new dynamic that we have to do when we continue to get a large proportion of our migrant asylum seekers are families with children.
On you to build more affordable housing, to find more places that are better to put families with children so they can establish roots in a community where they're going to send their kids to schools.
Well, what it does is we have pre-existing New Yorkers. Let's be clear. We have pre-existing New Yorkers who are on a pathway to move into permanent housing, something that we were successful in doing and getting the large numbers we were able to do. And those pre-existing New Yorkers are our first priority to get into some form of permanent housing. What it's doing is forcing us to have more shelters for the migrant asylum seekers that are different from the congregate settings. The congregate settings in themselves are difficult, but now you have to do a different settings, because we always have to be conscious about families with children. We never want to place our children in harm's way. Asylum seekers are longstanding New Yorkers, and we're going to be committed to that. We always made it clear our top line goal was never to have families with children sleeping on our streets. How are you doing?
As you know, the majority of the immigrants who come here don't speak the language well, so it's very important for us to tell the message that you want to tell them. We have been asking them on the streets, the majority men who travel alone, why are you still coming to New York? It's obvious that there's no more women. The mayor has said that. Their answer is that we come here because we know at least this mayor is doing something and he will give us a blanket of food. So one question is, why are we still opening places for single men? Aren't we sending the wrong message? If we keep opening those places, we're telling them to continue coming, we're opening the door for them. And two, they're also telling us, I am not working because I'm waiting for my permit, which we know it's not going to happen overnight, if it does happen at all. So why aren't they working like many immigrants who go and find work immediately undocumented? That's not happening with this new wave of immigrants. Not all of them, but a great number of them. Because I think that the message sometimes is not clear to them. So are we sending the wrong message by continuing opening new spaces for them? And what do we tell them about the work permit that unlikely will come?
Yeah, and that's interesting that you stated that, because that's the duality of the emotions that's attached to this crisis. In one breath, I will hear folks say, why are we still giving them a blanket? And then on the next breath, they'll say, why are they sleeping outside in front of the Roosevelt Hotel? That's why you have to go with your conscience and do what's morally right. We're going to continue to give people a blanket because it's a humane thing to do. And this is a humanitarian crisis that was created by men. And New Yorkers know that we show a level of dignity to people who come here. And so we're going to continue to give them a blanket. It's not the ideal situation for them to be in. And we're not going to the borders or across seas and say, come to New York because you're going to get a blanket. This is the reality. As I saw the other day on one of the stations, that
They are
a
saying that
person
though.
shared how when they came to the border, the Custom Border Patrol sent them to New York. You know, so there's a role that's happening down at the borders that's really funneling everyone to New York City. And when you talk about
It's
the
not has
right to
nothing to do
work,
with him offering all
we've
these
said this over and
services.
over again, and not all of them are not working. Let's be clear. Close to 100,000 arrive. I think we had 97,000 number, but we only have around 50 something thousand in our care. So others are in the black market. Others are doing other things, you know. Others are, when you call them, they're delivering your Uber Eats. You know, the reality is that this crisis and the failure to allow people to work to fill the thousands of jobs that we have has created a black market.
I love my Uber Eats being delivered by a homeless person. I can attest to that from firsthand experience. It's fucking disgusting, dude. Fucking dirty ass hands and shit. I don't know. I don't know if they'll be clean or not, but maybe they haven't been able to wash their hands. This dude smelled like fucking garbage juice. They delivered my Drizzly order once, and another time I had my delivery that should have taken like 5 minutes to get to me by car took 45 minutes because the guy was bringing it to me by bicycle. Yeah, that's what I want.
Really curious of what's happening and how some of these migrant asylum seekers are
The
being
guy's
exploited.
hands were black that delivered the drinks from Drizzly, dude. I'll never forget it. I took an alcohol soaked paper towel and wiped everything down because I could smell him. It smelled like rotted meat and garbage juice, and his hands were black with dirt, and like you could tell because it had rubbed off where he'd been touching things. You know how the look they get. Yeah.
To fill the thousands of jobs that we have has created a black market. I'm really curious of what's happening and how some of these migrant asylum seekers are being exploited. I'm concerned about what could be happening to some of the women that are coming into this country right now. We're seeing what's happening across our city. And so when you create this black market of workers, you undermine not only our economics, but you also undermine all that we did to fight to have fair working conditions. But don't believe that none of the migrant asylum seekers are not working, because they are. Okay, okay. Yes.
But I do see a number that is saying, I'm waiting for a permit, and most of the immigrants that come here just go and get work. And if I might just ask her, the 60-day rule, is that helping you a lot create spaces for families? Because the point is that single men are still coming by the numbers. So you're still opening spaces for them, for single men, with this new environments we're creating, humanitarian beliefs. So the question is, when they're leaving the 60 days.
Dude, this lady's dripping wet right now. I can't stop seeing it. Her chest right here. Look at this moisture there. I'm sorry.
You're still opening spaces for
It's
them,
a necklace.
for single men, with this new environments we're creating, humanitarian beliefs. So the question is, when they're leaving the 60-day hotels, is that enough to cover the new families that are?
Yeah, the goal is to motivate people to do a series of things. We have to create an environment where people are going to be independent on their own, because this is not sustainable. Second, alternate sites. We have witnessed that some people are starting to reach out to family members across the country. Family members who are here, they are realizing that there are other ways to become self-sustaining. And think about where we are right now, because this is what I find so amazing about where we are right now. Right now, the way it currently states, you can come to New York from anywhere on the globe. You could come to New York City, and we are supposed to feed, clothe, house you as long as you want. That is just not sustainable.
Who did that? You fucking people did that to yourselves, and you want us to bail you out, dude. That's...
So because of
You know,
that,
the rest of the country is going to see this. It's going to trickle out because mostly it's probably New Yorkers that were watching this today, but it's going to trickle out, and they're going to notice how the stage is all minorities except for the interpreter.
finding people come from all over the globe.
You know,
That's not
America's
fair to
mostly
New York.
white people, right? Is this intentional to piss off a bunch of people? Because it's going to. This is going to piss people off. All this minority shit up here is going to piss people off, dude, because they're begging for money. Lots of it. Billions.
City residents, that's not fair to them.
see.
When they come here and realize that, this is not what is, you're not going to be able to live in this condition. And so we did not create, we inherited this. And that was why we came out today to speak to New Yorkers and tell them what the price tag is and to speak with our partners on the federal and state level and state that we need to get this under control.
Yeah, well, this needs to piss. What needs to happen right now? America needs to be like, fuck that, New York. You did this to yourself. And New York needs to change their sanctuary city bullshit. That's what needs to happen, really. And then the federal government, of course, needs to fix our border.
Mr. Mayor, I'm wondering if you could clarify with the Roosevelt Hotel, the reason we are no longer seeing people sleeping out there is because they are being moved to places that are less desirable in the city's estimation. And my second question is, on services, you mentioned that every service is up for a potential cut because of the spending, but I'm wondering, is the city considering cutting servants to migrants themselves specifically because of the new estimate?
Both good questions. So what happens is
No
each night,
cuts
that's
to the
our
migrants.
intake center. That's the hub. When you come in, we determine where we're going to place you. If we get more than we can process at any given time, because we still have to follow fire rules, we still have to follow occupancy rules. There's still rules we must follow. So if we get an influx that is more than we can accommodate inside the space, that we're going to turn to different locations where we may find beds, someone may leave. Then they're outdoors. That has not happened at that level before. That happened a few days ago when we reached capacity and we couldn't put more inside. We had to find spaces for those who we had inside that already went through the process, the medical checks and all the other things we had to do. When we were able to move them out, we were able to move the individuals outside in. But what we were able to do because
wait. He said that they gave them medical checks. What kind of medical checks are they doing? From what I understand, they weren't even testing them for COVID. What I think that they mean by medical checks is they're asking them if they have anything wrong with them. And then New Yorkers are having to pay for it, probably. I don't know. Maybe it's federal at that point. Maybe federal will pay for their hospital already at that quickly. Why else would they have medical looking at them? They couldn't take care of them. And so many of these bitches, I'm just going to go in and say it, are coming here pregnant. Not only that, they're getting pregnant on their way here, intentionally. I've seen it. I've seen the interviews of them talking about it, telling the interviewer about it.
Move the individuals outside in. But what we were able to do, because of one of the faith-based institutions, they said, listen, we have a church space overnight that we will allow people to be in instead of having to be outdoors. We were able to move them there overnight and then bring them back and place them on the line. And your answer, cutting services, every service must be cut. Deputy Mayor William Isom and our team is doing analysis of every dollar we're spending on asylum seekers, and we're looking at how do we bring down that cost as well. So some of the things we were doing, we're not going to be able to do. So I told the team at the beginning of the last week that we need to do a real analysis of what we're spending, and we have to even cut that area. So everyone is going to be cut across the board. It could be something simple as the meal. If we could save, $1 or $2 on the meals, if we could save
They're already
on,
bitching
the
about the.
laundries, because all those sheets have to be cleaned. If we could save on napkins, if we could save everywhere, we're looking
How about
everywhere
they
to
wash their?
see
How
how.
about have them start washing their own fucking sheets in the bathtub and hanging them up on the curtain rod or some shit? You know what I mean? These people are resourceful, and make them be as resourceful as they can be instead of letting them turn into fucking lazy shitbags. And we've seen the inside of some of these hotel rooms. They're trashed up. They're not giving a shit about it. They're not taking care of it the way they should be. I mean, a lot of them. They treat them like shit.
We can bring down the cost of the asylum seekers and
Like, you know what I'm saying? I've been in programs where I've gotten a free place to stay, and I tell you what, one thing they didn't allow was that room to get untidy, ever. Quite the contrary. There were rules in place to where the bed would have to be made, your stuff would have to be put away neatly, you couldn't have a bunch of garbage built up, you definitely couldn't have food trash built up, because that invites roaches and shit. So it's just like, they're not even making them abide by any kind of laws. They got housekeeping. They got people cleaning their rooms for them and shit if they want. I bet they do, dude. Because he just said, like, people are washing them. The hotel's gonna be washing all them sheets and shit for them. Like, are they also getting to wash all their clothing for free at the hotel? Probably, because how else are they gonna wash their clothing? And so therefore the state or the city or maybe us eventually are going to be paying for that federally.
We're looking everywhere to see how we can bring down the cost of the asylum seekers. And Tim Pearson has been playing a role with Deputy Mayor Williams Isom and the Chief of Staff. They've done a report, they did an analysis, but it's across the board. We have to cut across the board.
Mr. Mayor, hi.
Yes, how are you?
The new numbers, the $12 billion over 3 fiscal years, it seems to be, I get that it's leveling off at an incredibly high level, $5 billion, $6 billion, but it seems to be leveling. Is that because you're baking in that some of these asylum seekers will finally push their paperwork with the city's help and get that permit 6 months on? Or are you folding that into your numbers at all, hoping that some of this over time will get some work going, even with no changes from the administration?
Okay, Jack could do that, but first, and the Deputy Mayor Williams Isom set up a team of our law firms. We really want to take our hats off to them. They've come together, they volunteered some of their staffers to process some of these applications. Now, these applications, number one, there's a real backlog. Number two, that 6 months is a make-believe number. By the time people are processed and they go through the system, it could take anywhere from a year to 2 years. But can you talk about what you're doing with the...
I think we talked about this a little bit last week, and we announced it, and we have several law firms and schools of social work that are going to be joining us over also. And we've done, I think, over 1,700 applications so far. We're not giving legal assistance, legal representation, but we're able to help people with their application, which we know that people really want to do as they want to get on that pathway to work.
Like, Mayor, in your answer a little bit, the 6 months is not a realistic number, maybe 1 to 2 years. So that's not really helping the work situation, is what you're saying, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Is it baked into the numbers or not?
Yeah, to some extent it is baked in, because what we do is we have a scenario where we target 20% reduction in the census because of policy changes we intend to implement. But in the out years in 2025, what we're saying is we don't know what the dynamic is going to be, because there are so many moving pieces that the assumption we're making is we're going to keep it flat as of it is at the end of the fiscal year 2024, because we don't know, we don't have enough information, okay, to make an informed forecast about fiscal year 2025.
So, Mayor, yesterday at the Armory, you said that everyone shouldn't be looking to you to solve the migrant crisis, and you asked for volunteers, New Yorkers, to step up and help. So it seemed to imply that you're burnt out. And what did you, what tasks are you looking for New Yorkers to do?
I just, what I find amazing? I find it amazing because I'm passionate and because I'm not rigid, and I like when people say, "Oh, he went on a rant." This is how I talk. I mean, I'm sorry, I don't do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I do the boogaloo. And it's just amazing how everyone wants to put me in this box. Well, he didn't act this way. He's burnt out. Oh, he's angry. Oh, no, I'm passionate about the city that I love. And so other people probably stand up here and they don't have any passion, any emotion. They're afraid to. But that's not who I am. I'm a New Yorker.
Good question.
And New Yorkers are opinionated. New Yorkers let you know how they feel. And, that song New York that we play with Jay-Z, you could tell by my attitude. I'm a New Yorker. And so what I said to the woman who asked the question, she said, what are you doing about?
That's not a good thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's the one thing that it was my first impression of New York was how New Yorkers, for the most part, were fucking assholes. First impression. And it was everywhere, dude. Like, I was only there for a day visiting, like, the New York City itself, and I saw 2 bicyclists get hit by buses. And then, like, the people, the pedestrians, they don't even look both ways for fucking cars. Whenever they see that fucking green little man or whatever, they just all start walking at the same time, full speed. It's just, like, such a weird fucking weird. That was 2 decades ago. Actually, it was like that. It hasn't gotten any better. I don't think it's gotten any better. I've been since then. I was with somebody and a little distracted, but still, it wasn't a place I would have wanted to live then either. And that was like 2014, 15.
Helping people speak Spanish. Commissioner Stewart from the New York City Police Department is teaching Spanish lessons to not only migrants, but whomever wants to learn, teaching English lessons, not only for migrants, but whoever wants to learn. That's not his role. It's not his role. But he came up with the concept because he said he wants to help. So if you know Spanish and English, you're bilingual, there's nothing stopping you from going to the asylum, one of our hercs, and say, I want to teach Spanish. I'm English. All of us can do something. If you are good in math, there's nothing stopping you from doing some financial literacy. If you are a carpenter, there's nothing stopping you from teaching people basic carpentry. So what I am saying, stop asking, hey, Eric, what are you doing? This is a Michael Jackson moment. Look at the man and the woman mirror. What are you doing? We all should be playing a role to deal with a crisis when there's an all hands on deck.
Hold on. What is he asking people to do? Go out and start training migrants how to be fucking math teachers? How to be accountants? What the fuck is he talking about? He's like asking for all kinds of free training for migrants now when our own people are fucking flooding the streets in droves here in LA and in New York and elsewhere. Let's train the migrants. Yes, give them free training.
That's what I was saying. We can all volunteer. We could all do something. Some of those migrants are journalists. Some of you could, teach people the art of journalism.
What?
Everyone.
What the fuck is he talking about, dude? Some of you journalists could put a migrant under your wing and teach them in your spare time, like a big brother. Huh? Are you doing your part? We have 100,000 migrants. You could take one of them. Let them live with you. Like, what the fuck, man? And these people back here are like, yeah. Oh, she's like, pew, pew, pew. She's shooting the laser beams. I don't know if she's down with it.
Could do something.
She's kind of laughing too. I don't know. I don't know if everybody's down with this one, Bucko. She's even kind of like, what? What did you just say?
Do you have enough Spanish-speaking teachers for the migrant children that are coming in?
Yes, we do. In the manner in which the chancellor, and let me say that with an asterisk, we do with the manner in which the chancellor is going to step up to the plate and make sure those children get what they want. Now,
wait, what?
Does that mean?
What the fuck does that mean? asterisk. He asterisk. We have enough, but asterisk. That's as long as this other organization figures it out. We got it.
We don't want more Spanish-speaking teachers to enroll and assist. No, it does not mean that. Yes, we do. There's a shortage of the ideal number that we should have, but we're going to step up to the plate like we have. Now, should we?
Oh no, we're going to step into the plate as long as we get saved. Oh my God, dude, come on, bro. These people are something else, man. He's begging for help, and at the same time, he's arrogant about knowing that they're going to have enough Spanish teachers. For where are they getting all these Spanish teachers from? Doesn't the rest of the country need them too?
We're hoping those who are hearing what we say, we're hoping that they will come and be part of our after-school programs. Come and volunteer. Come open your churches and have Spanish-speaking classes inside.
Oh, yes.
Yes, we need
you could open up your own Spanish class out of your living room. Invite a bunch of immigrants into your living room. Their kids, everybody. Have tea, have crumpets. Be a productive member of society. Welcome to New York, bitch. Sit down. Let's go.
And we have a lot of Spanish-speaking residents in the city that we want them to be part of this amazing moment in history, because history is going to look back on all of us and ask, where were we during the crises? And more importantly, what did we do during the crises?
Like, they ain't got nothing else better to do after school. Like, they don't have their own students to deal with, that they're teachers or something. I mean, like, they don't already have a load. So now, like, now they're got to, I don't know, man. Okay.
Dealing with this crisis for over a year, what's the plan come 6 months from now? At what point does City Hall in the state stop turning to the federal government for help? What will be the
You said, I'm sorry, at what point we will stop?
At what point, because obviously the federal government is not willing to do very much, at what point does City Hall stop asking them for help and turn to a different strategy?
Yeah.
Other than we need
Stop
more
it.
permits, we need aid. At what point do you guys say, this isn't working, let's move to a different strategy?
Yeah, as a former lawmaker, I saw how laws were passed. They were not passed in the first, month or probably the first session. Advocacy came up to Albany. Electeds would stand up and debate and fight, and then there were layers. I think about Rockefeller drug laws, what we had to go through to get it passed. I could think of some of the legislation, the stop and frisk legislation that Congressman Jeffries and I, as an assemblyman, passed.
Another
It took
black
years and
congressman.
years, or months and months. And so we know that we have to be a constant drumbeat.
New York got black as
before
shit
people
fast.
finally identify, okay, now we see what they're saying. And that's what we did. Where we are now, think about it for a moment. Go back and do a Lexis search of where we were in April, May, June. You weren't hearing this chorus that was coming from all forms of public and private. There's a chorus that people are singing the song that we wrote. And I believe we're starting to see some of the impacts. And we're going to continue to, one, call for the assistance from the national government, the state government, but we're going to do our job. The worst thing this team can do is to sit down and say, well, we're not getting any help, so we're not going to do anything. That's not how we operate. We're going to do our job, and we're going to continue to elevate our voices. I was extremely pleased to see the governor of Massachusetts say what I was saying. People wanted to seem like I was anti-Democratic Party because I was saying that we deserve to treat people better. No. And I think you're going to see others that are going to stand up and say, we got to be better than this as a country. This is a country that means something, that represents something, and people are watching us. And this is an international crisis of migrants shifting across the globe. And we need to treat it as an international crisis. Global leaders need to come together and sit down and say, how are we dealing with crises? I just sent my team
But check this out. It's not a crisis because they need the help more than they used to. It's a crisis because social media has allowed them many more avenues in getting here, and like they quickly know how to switch their route if they need to. They know where to go on their route. They have easy ways of paying these cartels and stuff to get here. Like, it's all very well oiled and organized because of social media. That's why it's not because they need the help more, because their country is more war torn. It's because they have an easier avenue to get here. It's much easier with social media. It's stupid.
A video from, I think it was England, where they have a huge barge and they are putting it and placing it, and to deal with this crisis. They have over 100,000. This international shifting of people because of climate change, because of wars, because of other conditions, we need to address.
They don't have nearly as many people. Do they? Do they have nearly as many people coming in their fucking country in England as we do ours? I'm gonna look into it.
This international shifting of people because of climate change, because of wars, because of other conditions, we need to address as international leaders and as local leaders, because this is not going away for a long time. This is a new norm. And so while we are compelling Washington,
Analysts of the official statistics of irregular migration show that more than 135,000 people have been detected attempting to enter the UK illegally since 2018, January 1st. Okay, the total quadrupled from just over 13,000 in 2018 to more than 52,000 in 2022. 52. He's comparing what's happening here in America to what's happening in UK. 52,000.
To to help our state, to help. We have to do what we have to do here locally, but what we are doing is what you don't see any other municipality doing, and we're proud of that, and we're going to continue to do what we have to do. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Yeah, she was hot. You carrying that coat off right now. Yo, but for real though. So, yeah. They need to stop inviting these people into their city. That's exactly what it does. And I've talked about, that's how I ended up here in Long Beach, California. I was talking about it yesterday. Is Joe up, by the way? I found out that Long Beach was extremely Democrat, and that they had these hotels here that would put up. Well, Joe was live. He got this little short one, and I came here to the hotel and ended up staying in Long Beach. Eventually, I came back here. I've moved away and came back a few times.
Sí, la televisión, en YouTube, Facebook y... ¿Dónde? Ratas de Darien, ¿por qué ratas? ¿Cuánto tiempo duraron ustedes para llegar aquí? ¿Cuánto tiempo duraron ustedes? ¿Se entregaron en qué frontera se entregó? En Juárez.
Joe's in New York, man. He only went live for like 10 minutes, and then this is it.
1 second, guys.
9 minutes. I don't know why he went down 46 minutes ago.
Nobody wants to talk to us. I'll update you guys on what's going on right now. Just 1 second.
Oh, you guys can't see the chat. My bad. Yeah.
Actually, I've been all over the place this morning. I went over to Randall Island. Randall Island, they're in the first steps of construction. They're going to be housing 2,000 of them over there. There's not much to see, so I didn't live stream from there. But we're back here in the Roosevelt Hotel area. Right now, word is that buses are coming in from either Texas or Arizona. We do have mainstream media out here today because, of course, they're out here just for the part where they're going to be dropping off here. So I'm going to play the waiting game, guys. I spotted the Spanish mainstream media, which is Telemundo, was out here a little while ago.
Telemundo!
They have ABC over there. So went to I can't read it. Yeah. Well, pretty much your main street, but here's Telemundo. Watch, we'll pass them right now. They're here with their tripod, their reporter. So their camera equipment, they're waiting to go. They're around the corner trying to get interviews. So we're all trying to get interviews, and they've been instructed. She's trying, and it's a liberal mainstream media, and they don't even want to talk to them. So she's out here trying to get interviews with the migrants, and everybody's refusing to give her grant her an interview. They've been instructed very well inside there.
Damn.
Not to talk.
Damn.
Gotta be careful with that guy. He has a diaper. He might have leprosy or something.
It's fucked up, dude, that they're telling them not to talk to people. Why?
Morning, guys. Morning. Look.
What are they scared that they'll tell them?
They have pushed their office. I'll tell you guys to show you how far they push them back.
Like, some of them move, but it's a process.
Look how far they push this mainstream media back. Because they're blocking traffic over here. What's the difference from blocking that sidewalk to this side? Here too. Word around here is that there is buses coming in right now. Man, a lot of you guys. Where's Joe? Where's Joe? I've been working my butt off trying to do some investigative journalism all morning. I've been out here since about 8 a.m. So I'll stay live for a little bit. We'll save the battery packs and so forth. So when the action starts here, we'll hit the live button. I'm gonna walk down that way right now. I'm assuming that most of the processing and the transporting happened at the nighttime. Because the tablet people and the free cell phone people over there were the cell phone people start setting up. I've been trying to get interviews, guys, but these people are so instructed not to talk to nobody. Earlier, I was talking with some people from Venezuela off camera.
Well, there was that information. got frustrated probably and turned it off.
Have we seen the Roosevelt Hotel? That's where we're at right now.
I wonder why he's having such signal issues.
Why are they handing out free cell phones? Because that's part of the deal they have here and they're making money off it.
Yeah, but it's actually a deal for anybody, not just the immigrants. But they are making money off of it.
We're still buffering or no?
Yeah, you got frustrated because it's buffering. Ay.
I'm gonna restart the phone. If you guys can hear me, I'm gonna restart the phone. I'll be back here in half an hour, We're gonna save our batteries for guys, so whenever the buses start showing up here, we'll see you on the bit.
Whoa.
Right now, with that, could you give us an update on what those emergencies are at this hour?
Yes, absolutely. It's quite a situation we have here on Maui Island. Our emergency crews are responding to multiple fires across Maui. In particular, we've experiencing fires up in the upcountry area in Olinda and Kula. We have also been battling with our fire crews on the West Maui area. These are fires popping up in different locations. We have opened multiple emergency shelters throughout the island to assist our residents. At this time, both fire areas are active. Our crews, it's all hands on deck. We're here in full activation mode at the Emergency Operating Center here in Wailuku tonight.
Ms. Martin, we're trying to get a sense of the scope of this crisis. We're hearing from people on social media that they're going to pull off on the side of the highway. They don't know where they're going to stay tonight. Even though shelters are open, communication has not been great. It appears a cell phone tower may have been damaged in Lahaina. Can you give me a sense of the mood there on the island? I would imagine we're having quite a few people feeling just that they're on their own this evening.
Well, we can certainly appreciate there is a feeling of anxiety. Our focus has been on the safety of the public and the safety of our first responders. While we know that we have emergency shelters in place for those areas, we also know that there are residents and visitors as well who are trying to deal with conditions that are ever changing. Even our road closures are occurring at a fast pace as our firefighters deal with fires moving unpredictably with high winds conditioned and different sources of fuel in the different parts of the island. For our residents, it's important that they evacuate if our emergency personnel advise them to evacuate, to stay safe. We recently have been experiencing currently in the West Maui area a lack of communication. The landlines were down, cell phone towers are down. So residents, of course, are very concerned with not just each other, but conditions of where they go and how do they get information. We are very fortunate that We have been able to stay very active on this fire and try to send out information, but for the lack of communication on the west side, that remains a problem for us. We know that the exit to Lahaina has been outbound only recently. Down power lines prevented exit and entry into the West Maui area for a few hours this evening as well, and that compounded all of the situations we're dealing with.
And we're looking at video of massive flames just engulfing this historic section of Front Street, destroying the businesses there. What can you tell us about the situation there, as well as whether or not people are still in the water waiting to be rescued by the Coast Guard?
We did receive reports that there were residents who had entered the ocean on the West Maui area in response to conditions of smoke and fire. The Coast Guard did respond appropriately and quickly, took them to safe areas. With regards to the fire there in Front Street and any parts of West Maui, it is fast moving, it's ever changing. Traffic is certainly compounding it. If people are not in the impacted areas, please stay off the road so that those who need to evacuate are able to evacuate.
And Ms. Martin, last question before we let you go. What is the county's most reliable communication method tonight?
We are deploying as much as we can. The mauicounty.gov is the site. Our social media platforms on both Facebook and Instagram will contain information. We also advise folks to get on mauicounty.gov and sign up for the Maui Emergency Management alerts. From that, you will also get air crews, state air portion of the process.
Information around the clock, and we will bring it to you as soon as we get information confirmed.
That's like, looks different than our wildfires. Ours don't have all that black smoke in them. Freeze. What I want.
Get all those houses burnt down to the ground almost. Though. That's the houses been burned down before, and then again. Real. Oh, Dad. I'm up.
No, man. Yeah, I guess just haven't got enough rain, huh?
And now joining us live.
Pretty though. It's a beautiful shade of pink. I mean, it sucks, but it does make a pretty color in the sky. Is it too soon to say that? I think. Oh, that wind, dude, it just stokes it so much. But they got good insurance. You heard AAA is starting to cancel people's plans and fire places that can be hit by fires. And they're telling people it's for stuff like their pool being without water, or their roof that doesn't need to be fixed, needs to be fixed, or they have too much clutter in their yard. But it's really because they don't want to have to cover these people in case their house catches on fire. That was a news story I watched on it this morning. It's fairly new. It was from today. They're flying drones and aircraft over people's houses to give them reasons to discontinue their policy. Alan Dickar.
Unbelievable that this is happening
Whoa.
here in our state of Hawaii, more or less on the island of Maui. And there are almost no words for that.
Yeah, it is because, and Billy, you see that drone footage, you see how hot that fire was burning, and when those winds are whipping through at 60 miles an hour.
Advisory, so it is still going to be windy, and with the lack of rainfall, the brush fire threat will remain.
And of course, well south.
To rebuild
% funding.
as a Regulations are still in effect for guests at the North Fairways, at Mauna Kea, and the villas.
Devastating from the have our team on Maui. Chelsea Davis will be
6:30, so almost 24 hours flames to escape.
really difficult.
Ireland from the emergency.
On Sunrise, stay with us. Normally in the morning.
It's just so devastating. Lost.
Obviously.
Are closed today. Only Hana School remains open.
Help take care of evacuees. Hawaiian Airlines says its Maui schedule is running today, but it advises checking online before heading to the airport because, you know, something could happen 5 minutes from now. Hawaiian is waiving rebooking Maui flights through Friday if you want to reschedule or cancel. Both flights from Vancouver are canceled today. That affects return flights later, so some Canadian visitors won't arrive and some won't be able to leave on their original flight, regardless of whether they booked on WestJet or Air Canada. Back to you guys.
You expect them to add flights today, maybe off island?
No sign of that.
No sign of that. All right, thanks, Howard.
At 6:55,
It's a fire.
This fire situation has been fueled by the
I don't
winds,
know.
so
I
let's
don't know
get
if
a
it's
check of the weather
what
we
it's
got.
caused it.
Okay, well, even though the winds are going to back down today, it's still a first alert weather day because the brush
I
fire
didn't
threat
hear
remains
anything about a
high, with
volcano.
those wind gusts upwards of 50 miles an hour.
Mrs. Pat for a ride home. Working out.
No, but you can see here, if we go down to Maui and we go over here on the west coast of Maui, there's Lahaina. It says hotspot detected 10 hours ago, hotspot detected 1 hour ago. 1 hour ago. Somewhere within approximately 1 kilometer of this location has been identified as hot by satellite sensors around 1 hour ago. This could be a wildfire, but it's not confirmed. So some recent hotspots. 1 hour ago. Look at all this. 1 hour ago. 1 hour ago. Lahaina, then south of Lahaina. One hour ago. That's concerning. It says Puamana Beach Park. Hotspot detected 1 hour ago around Puamana Beach Park. And then up here,
climate change,
hotspots up here as well, north of Lahaina. Wow. That's in Kapuna.
Wow.
Okay, so again, those are not on Twitter in Lahaina, but 7 Facebook can be updated. Wailuku is back there. Lahaina, that area is fire. See where it says Lahaina?
Whoa. What the hell is that all about? Yeah, exactly. And now they want the federal government to help them be more like that. Oh. Yeah, man. Why is New York letting their city go to shit? Oh, here's another shot of it. Maybe it's because they let the immigrants vote. Mushroom cloud looms near Moscow after a drone attack. Missile parts.
Well, Russia
plant.
and the world woke up to extraordinary scenes of an enormous mushroom cloud, smoke billowing dozens, scores of feet into the air over a factory in the Moscow region, the district outside the Russian capital. It's the Zagorsk plant. It makes optics, at least that's what we understand it used to do. That's what it was listed as doing. And those optics were parts that were used in Russian missiles, in fighter jets, in weapons, and in night vision goggles. So effectively, there's been a huge explosion, an unexplained explosion on the site of a factory that makes military parts. Russian officials are saying that 45 people have been wounded and 5 of them very seriously. We know from social media videos posted in Russia that the force of the explosion has blown out windows many blocks away from the actual explosion. So an immensely powerful blast.
Whoa! Damn! Ow!
Russian officials saying that it was a pyrotechnics warehouse, that actually the factory had leased out a warehouse on its site to a fireworks company. Now, those claims have been met with significant disbelief here in Ukraine. Now, we don't know what caused this explosion or who was behind it, but the fact is that when something goes bang in Moscow, people are asking, is this the work of Ukraine? And the reason people are asking that question is because Ukraine has launched a series of successful drone attacks on the Russian capital with aerial vehicles. It's also launched a series of successful attacks on Russian shipping with maritime vehicles. Now, the very fact that Ukraine has developed and demonstrated this capability whilst it's been engaged in a fight for its existence on its own territory is an enormous victory for Ukraine. People in Russia and indeed people around the world are aware of Ukraine's capability to take the fight into Russia. Ukraine was a country that was invaded, but they are fighting back by trying to damage Russia's military supply chain. And one way of doing that would be to try and disable or disrupt industrial production of weapons. Now, we don't know for certain whether that is what happened here, but it certainly would appear to have been, from a Ukrainian point of view, a legitimate military target, because this was a plant that was listed as making parts for missiles and weapons that are being used against Ukraine in Vladimir Putin's war.
Bro, wonder who did it. Like, it didn't have to be Ukraine. It could have just been a Ukrainian ally was able to somehow plant explosives in there. Whoa. Ah! I gotta watch this. I'll be back. Get my fucking way. Guys, that's all I got for you. I'm gonna take off now. Hope you have a great day. Happy Wednesday. It's time for me to go though. I need to do stuff around here. I need to do stuff around there. I need to do stuff. I got stuff to do. You know what I mean? I'm just sitting here doing nothing at this point. So I'm gonna go do stuff. Glad you could be here. I gotta go. This could be avoided, but one was very angry. Not to become tornado. There's yeah, I agree. Let them work it out. Whoever wins wins. See you, Ted. See you, Pups. The Sister T. Thank you all for your input on everything. I do appreciate it. I don't know what the prison doctor is. I'll check it out. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.